AITA, 38M, for cutting back on work to prove a point to my wife, 30F. My wife is usually an angel of a woman, but has recently gotten into a friendship with a woman whom I personally believe is a bad influence on her. Not in a patronizing way. More of a, lay down with dogs, get up with fleas type of situation. I never said anything about her childishness or her very radical misandry, because frankly it doesn't affect me. Until it did. A few months ago my wife began pressuring me to do more around the house. Before I get an instant YTA, we already split chores and childcare. Admittedly, she had a bigger cut than I because she is a som. But I do most of the cooking. Breakfasts and dinners. Lunch is her responsibility for her and the boys. I take out the garbage and I do laundry. And I deep clean the bathrooms once a week. I do also help with our boys' homework and such. She insists that I am not doing enough and that I should be doing more around the house. I tried having discussions with her asking what she expected from me. Namely, all chores and child rearing should be my duty, it seems. And for months it seemed to be going nowhere. She used the D word more than once when speaking on this, which felt manipulative. It boiled over when we were out with friends one night, and she began talking about how I never helped out and how I use her as a house slave. Her words. I will admit I saw red. This next part is where I may be the asshole. I didn't say anything that night, but the next day I asked my boss to be given reduced hours for the next little bit, due to stress. And I took over everything in the house. I cooked breakfast and made lunch for the boys before I drove them to school. I cleaned the house top to bottom. I did every dish we had twice and so on. My wife was blindingly happy, and bragged to her friend that she finally had me worn in. She didn't lift a finger for around a month. Then she began asking why we never went on dates anymore and complaining that she wanted to get her nails done as they were growing in. I explained that I had to take that out of our budget so we could continue to afford everything else. But we could absolutely have a movie night in, and I could paint her nails for her. She was unhappy with that solution. So I asked her if she would want to get a part-time job to pay for either luxuries. You would have thought I asked if she wanted to join a cult. She then asked if I could just pick up more shifts at work to cover her other expenses, and used the phrase, be a man, which I found more than a little insulting. I then asked her if she would be willing to go back to splitting the chores and such, which is when she began to catch on that the two were related. She yelled at me that I was being a manipulative asshole for doing this and even claimed it was financial, a word. I stood strong for a while, but now I am questioning my methods. Because even I feel what I did was a bit underhanded. So AITA? NTA. Stay at home means you do most of the housework. I'm not sure why your wife doesn't understand that. Dude, you said that your wife is an angel. I'm not really seeing it. Threatening divorce to bludgeon you into doing more housework is a pretty big red flag. The phrases, house slave, and having you worn in, don't make this marriage even sound like a partnership. Couples therapy ASAP. You have bigger problems than chores. NTA. NTA. You did what she asked. Reading stories like this really make me question if I want to get married. NTA. WTF is with your wife? She expects you to work all day and do all the house chores and take care of the kids, while she uses your money to pamper herself? Her priorities are so wrong on so many levels. She lucky she ain't my wife. With that attitude and disrespect, I would have agreed to divorce and said I'll see you in court. NTA. If you want to save your marriage, get into couples therapy ASAP. Either you've got the right of it, and her new friend has somehow swayed her to be discontented with you, Or she's always secretly felt that way and her friend has emboldened her to speak out. Either way, therapy will help you both get to the bottom of it and hopefully save your marriage, or at least let you separate amicably. NTA, but what is your wife doing? It's time to sit down and write a list of the hours of contribution you both put in. Because there is a discrepancy, you then need to address that there was never a problem until her friend came along. Being a SOM means she works around the house and does the childcare, which is interesting as they are in school. NTA, but why are you with her? She seems to think you are just there to service her and do everything. What are you getting out of this marriage? NTA. It sounds like you tried for months to discuss the issue with your wife reasonably and come to a fair compromise. Without success. Her demands that you take on more and more responsibility, accusations that you were lazy or not doing enough, and manipulative threats were unacceptable. NTA. Perhaps call her bluff the next time she uses the D word. You've not got a winner there. How draining can one spouse be? I'm not even married to her and I want to divorce her. Can we be frank? What does she actually bring to the table for this relationship? She doesn't want to do a lick of housework and she doesn't want to do any work outside of the house? Does she believe she's entitled to doing nothing for the rest of her life by piggybacking on all of your effort and labor because you're a man? I think this calls for couples therapy so you can lay out your very valid issues with this unhealthy dynamic on the table for a professional to evaluate with both of you. Otherwise, I doubt your relationship is going to make it through her tormenting you with threats and insulting you in front of others, no matter how much you bend over backwards for her. NTA, but in a way you are an awe to yourself for wearing such thick rose-tinted lenses while this seems to have already verged into abusive territory from her for quite some time now. Ask yourself what kind of love from your partner you deserve, and if you're genuinely getting that from her. Clearly your wife is impossible to please and seems to be using you so she can be lazy tbh. NTA. If anything, she should pick up the lion's share of the household work because she's a SOM. I don't know what that friend did to her, but she's clearly no longer the angel of a woman you once knew. You need to sit her down and have a very serious conversation about the responsibilities you each have before the situation gets even worse. NTA. She can't have her cake and eat it too. To be honest, when she started threatening divorce, I would have gotten a consultation immediately with an attorney. I probably wouldn't even attempt therapy considering that you've responded to her once of cutting back hours and taking on more, and when you asked her to pitch in for her financial luxuries, she's responded by again crying wolf. Quote, her friend has convinced her that she doesn't want to be a mom. She wants to be a woman with no responsibilities. NTA. But maybe you need to look closer at that D word if she keeps at this. NTA. If it isn't obvious, just to say, I wish I could scoop you up and marry you. My partner isn't much of a partner. He does the very bare minimum as a parent and not even that. And does nothing for the house, meals or anything. My kids would be malnourished from eating cereal all day every day if it weren't for me. He does work. I'm sorry, but this does not seem like a fair division of labor. You should be helping at home. Yes, but she should be doing the bulk of the cooking, cleaning, and household management. I would absolutely make a chore chart or a plan that is fair and so that both of you are working the same number of hours. If she doesn't like it, she is free to divorce you, at which point she will need to get a job. The horror. NTA. Both of you should read Fair Play and get the cards. It shows every part of emotional financial and home labor and breaks it down so you can see who actually has more responsibilities. Play it with your wife and show her the unfair division of labor. NTA. She got exactly what she wanted. You are doing more work at home instead of at work. Hope she sees the light. Info and NTA. Did she literally have a 180 in behavior from being influenced by this person, or do you feel this was a smaller contribution that pushed her over? From the limited info, it seems to me the friend is like one of those types you'd find in the old version of our female dating strategy and takes things way too far. As funny as your point proving was it, have you had an upfront discussion that you're not okay with how the division of labor is handled? Not one where she derails it by citing financial abuse. Because no reasonable person would equate the privilege of painting nails to being financially abused. I would find it funny if it wasn't so disgustingly dishonest. In regards to one of your responses, I can't claim that cooking is a punishing task for me. I have been a fan my entire life. It's soothing and rewarding. I do the laundry because I love the smell. And I clean the bathrooms because I am a germaphobe and I watched one too many documentaries on how gross bathrooms are. Dude, this literally sounds like the scene from The Simpsons where Ned won't write off typing ink for tax on his business because he enjoys the smell, and that might be considered personal use. Overcautious and overly kind to a fault. It sounds like you're getting the short end of the stick and you're too nice to be with someone who would take advantage of you. But I'd love to hear more details about what your wife was honestly like before this friendship. Last note, have you talked to any trusted friends who would give you a frank opinion on this? NTA. She is supposed to be your wife and partner, not another child to raise. Honestly, she sounds exhausting.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.